Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and a little while ago, I made a video about the potential idea of returning player characters in Campaign 3 for a Critical Role. And today, I've decided, because there was no Critical Role last night, there was that Stephen Colbert video, I have elected to go through the cast of Vox Machina, the members of Vox Machina, and give my opinion on if those characters could potentially show up in Campaign 3 as NPCs. So, I'm going to go in alphabetical order, and to keep in mind, these characters are all probably into their 50s at this point. It's 25 years later, and all of them are still alive in the Tal'Dorei campaign guide, except for two members of Vox Machina being gone, of which I'm not going to go in alphabetical order. There's two characters who are dead, and my dog is barking. Two characters that are dead from Vox Machina. Vexalia, he is dead, but he is now serving the Raven Queen to bring souls to the other afterworld, or whatever the hell Matt has decided it is in his world. And we also have Tiberius Stormwind, who, less is said about Tiberius, and Tiberius' player the better, but he's dead as well. So he is not going to be returning in Campaign 3. So from that point on, we've got alphabetical order, Grog. Yeah, he's a warrior. I think there's a high possibility of maybe a good interaction with Ashton for Grog. Maybe there's some sort of tournament, or they even go to Vasselheim and go to whatever arena Grog was a part in. Maybe he's not the champion there anymore, but he continues to fight and does his own thing, and I can very well see Grog making some sort of appearance, maybe to give some sort of advice to Ashton about being the person who has to take damage, give damage, being the guy that everyone has to rely on to keep them safe as they try to escape, or something like that sort of situation. I think it'd be a fun situation for Ashton. The big old Goliath coming back would always be cool to me, and likelihood of him still being alive is pretty good. I don't know exactly how long Goliaths live for, but they're descendants of giants, so I would imagine a decent length. So even though he's in his 50s, or at least 50s, I think it's a very good possibility we see the good boy Grog come back I don't want to see him fight. I mean, maybe he could fight Ashton, but I would love to see him give some sort of barbarian speech to Ashton to sort of do something for Ashton. I don't know. A nice barbarian moment would be really cool from Grog, the experienced warrior that is the Grand Poobah, And so next is Kleeth, and I 100% think Kleeth is going to appear in Campaign 3 in it could be many situations. I've made a whole video on her potentially returning and why I think it could be a bad thing, but I do think at some point they go to Zephyra for Orym and at least have a conversation with her. I think it's almost guaranteed that Kleeth shows up and gives a bit of guidance to potentially Orym, Fern, anybody who thinks needs it. I think a nice interaction between Imogen and Kleeth would be great, because they're both characters who sort of doubted themselves in the beginning of their sort of adventuring career. So I think it'd be a good moment for Imogen. It'd be nice to see Orym's story kind of go completely full circle, and we get to see Kleeth, the person who sent him on his mission, interact with him. And Fern, because Druid meets Druid, and we gotta do that, just like we did with Grog and Ashton. So next, Percy. Only way Percy comes back is if Delilah returns, and if Percy hears about it. That's it. I think there is no other way. I highly doubt they go to Whitestone for whatever reason. I think Laudna wants to avoid Whitestone like the plague. So, likelihood of Percy coming anywhere near Campaign 3, not very high. Again, only if Delilah returns and he hears about it. Because then vengeance will be brought upon her like a fucking plague. I don't know what else to say. Percy has his little plague raven mask, and he'll show up and fucking shoot the shit out of her. After that is Pike. The only way I see Pike coming back is if she's with Scanlan And I definitely think Scanlan's going to show up, but I'll get to him in a minute. But otherwise, I think Pike is done. I think she's probably more so dedicating herself to, you know, religion. Maybe she and Scanlan, and is it Haley or Kaylee? I always forget what Scanlan's daughter's name is. But maybe they're just living life as a family somewhere else and occasionally go out to do plays, and those two help Scanlan set it up. So I don't think Pike will return. I think she's done. I think that's a theme with a lot of Ashley's characters. Once the campaign sort of ends, she's kind of done. I think Yash is also done adventuring, but, you know. Anyway, Pike, don't think she'll show up. I would say probably like a 5% chance she does, and probably a very minor role. Scanlan Shorthalt. They've already referenced him like twice. I think twice is bare minimum. I think EXU even referenced him a few times. So, likelihood of Scanlan showing up, I think it's pretty good. Especially if he's, you know, coming down to Marquette to be the meat man, or coming down to Marquette to do a play, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. Those were the references that we got of him at the theater in Jushar. There's literally a play about him or by him there, and, you know, definitely a possibility he shows up with a play or some sort of theater. Maybe that same theater, he comes back for a return show. That theater tends to have people come and go, so what's the chance that some people come and then go and then come again? Who knows? I think I would say I'm 50-50 on Scanlan showing up. I'd say he's less chance than Kleeth, more chance than Grog showing up, if that makes sense. I would say Grog's about 30% chance of showing up, Pike's the lowest at 5, and then above Grog is Scanlan somewhere, and then Kleeth, in my opinion, is going to show up. So to continue on with the list, Tyrion Darrington, I'm going to get to him in a different video. He's got the Darrington Brigade, and I really want to talk about them in this same sort of fashion if they will appear. So I don't know if I'll make that next week or if I'll make Campaign 2 next week, but eventually the Darrington Brigade and Tyrion Darrington will be brought up in this style of video. So after that would technically be Tiberius and Vax, but they're both dead. So no, not coming back. And then last is Vexalia. And again, I think Vexalia and Trinket, I'm pretty sure Trinket is still alive somehow. I don't know how. But in the 25 years later in the Tal'Dorei campaign guide, Trinket is still alive. So maybe he's still alive a couple years after that even. And no, I don't think Vexalia and Trinket will sort of come into this either, unless she decides that Percy's a little too old to go by himself and she goes with him, if Delilah comes back. So I'd probably put Vexalia and Percy in the same tier of percentage of potentially coming back. And I think it'd be cool for, you know, her to come back as well with Percy. I think there'd be a very interesting arc surrounding it. Maybe a later later level arc surrounding the return of Delilah and the return of those two characters. And those characters give guidance to the new campaign characters to push toward defeating Delilah, because they would be a little too old. And it seems Matt has this thing where his elves age, and technically half elves age, but they still outlive humans. So I'm sure for Matt, half elves also show their age. So they might both be a little too old. They're both going to be in their 50s, and you never know. For certain races, that is pushing the halfway point. So maybe those two will show up for an arc. I think it'd be really cool if they did. I would love a Delilah versus the Derolo arc continuing in Campaign 3. I think that'd be really cool. And with all the callbacks and references, I think it's totally possible. So who knows? And if they do that, I would like to potentially see Matt give Talzin and Laura a sort of semi-script of what they would say, because I don't know if Matt will want to try to be those characters or if he'll want to give them a script and then bam. But who knows? With that being said, that is all the members of Vox Machina. So yeah, I'm gonna do a handful of these videos. One or two. There's gonna be the Darrington Brigade, Campaign 2. I'm probably not gonna do will the EXU characters return, because they're gonna get another EXU season eventually. And then I'm gonna do guest characters, and then maybe NPC characters. But I'd have to come up with a list for those because not every guest player is in D&D, and if they are in D&D, there's a likelihood they're not Taldore or Exandria. So who knows about the guest list? That'll be the last one I do, and it'll probably end up being the longest one I do. So with that being said, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys Tuesday with whatever next video I make, whether it be Campaign 2 or the Darrington Brigade. So I will see you guys then. Peace out.